fam? This is your boy J Money here, bringing you guys that World Chalice deck profile. Finally. Yeah. Done a lot of playing with the deck. Still playing with other decks, but this deck is my favorite, and I enjoy it very, very much so. I mean, of course, it's favorite. Anyway, there is a lot to talk about with this deck when I get into the profile. So, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go straight into it. Alrighty, folks. Here we go. Starting off the profile. 3 Venus and Shine Balls. I wish I could still continue to say if this card resolves, you win the duel. That isn't really the case anymore because, you know, Nib is pretty problematic in this deck, no lie. And unexpected die target, we are playing a Biomage and all that. Now, it could be either or. At first I was playing Ray and Temperature because it's a funny card, but, you know, Biomage, you know, if you look at it in Venus, it's got nearly the same pose, and this one looks a little darker, so it's like almost like a darker Venus. So I'm like, you know what, let's run with that instead. And the reason why I chose level 3 instead of level 4 fairy target is because with Downbeat you can interact with more cards than just Venus. It is especially bad to have a way to access Venus like Downbeat and stuff, and that's like the only thing you can access, and you've already drawn this card. This is a problem with having like Transmodify and all these level 2s, but you already have this in hand. That was my main issue with Transmodify before. That's why I didn't play Transmodify, because every time I saw Transmodify, I also saw the Venus, or I didn't see the Venus, but it got ashed and whatnot. So there's more level 2s for Downbeat to interact with, like Diviner and other things. Speaking of which, 3 Diviners. Yes, yes, yes. The Honorary Venus 2.0. The Venus that needs one other card to function just like it. I wish within combo this could interact with Vanillas effectively and still get combo, but it can't. So that does require us to play some more things in our extra deck that I really, really don't want to play. But thanks to this, we have more consistent ways than ever to get to where we need to go and get to our combo. So this card is really nice. I love it. No, not enough good things to say about it. Now, as for the World Chalice cards, I'm really not playing that many. I'm on 3 Chalices, 3 Lees, 1 Guard Dragon, and 1 Chosen. Now, honestly, I don't even think Lee is all that good to really open anymore. Honestly, I've been debating on maybe cutting this down to 1. And honestly, I feel like I wanted to play more Guard Dragons than anything else. Because these grind games, man, these grind games are just crazy. Yeah, I've been forced into so many grind games. Now, granted, this has helped me constantly get cards to hand, which is pretty cool. But, I don't know. It's not the best to open with, if that makes any sense. Especially not now. Like, I feel like I'd rather open this than open this. And it's just like, there's no point to open this when you have Transmod again. I'd rather, even if I can special summon my way into an Imduck, I'd rather have this than Lee. Like, just, I don't know. The only good things about the Lee and multiples is 1, I can summon 2 off of Chalice and have fairies to make Dark Lord Link and stuff. Or it's a fairy in hand that I just so happen to have with Orange Light. So, I don't know how I feel about Lee anymore. It's really weird to say that, honestly. I want to play more Chalice monsters because, again, I've been forced into so many grind games. It's insane, and I just wish I had more. But at the same time, I know if I see more Chalice monsters in hand, it's going to dilute my ability to play through an Eruption. Unless it's Guard Dragon, because Guard Dragon protects targeting. But 3 Chaos Valks, excellent extender. You can banish it very reliably with either Eva or the Parsheth Link, and that sends Arsenal Christia to your graveyard, and it's a level 4 life fairy, so you can downbeat it into Venus if you actually do not have access to it. And 3 orange lights because, well, Nib is a problem and it's very problematic. So you can't really, basically if you don't have orange light, your hand has to be like pretty good, like pretty strong to continue to play through a Nib. You know what I mean? It's almost gotta be borderline like great or borderline insane hand, which you shouldn't really be counting on often. So now for the 1-0s, we got our Trias Archaea. Debating on playing multiples of these so I can send other fairies to the graveyard. Honestly, debating on playing multiples. It sucks that I can't tribute fairies from the hand to summon this, otherwise this would be way better and this would automatically be a 3-of. That one fairy card that's coming out in the next set that summons when a fairy monster's effect's activated, that's actually pretty good. So I may play a couple copies of those when it comes out. But for now, this stays at 1. You need to send it off Diviner. You're playing this Valkyrie because you're summoning it off Diviner. And you're playing this Valkyrie because you're summoning this off of this Valkyrie. Which this will end up sending Imperial Order to be set later on in the combo. You gotta play Dark Lord Asmodeus because of the Dark Lord link. You could actually normal summon this thing with the Dark Lord link on the board by just banishing monsters from your graveyard, which is actually pretty, like, it just comes in randomly and it works, especially if I didn't normal summon. Like, if I sit there and I unexpected die and downbeaten into like a Diviner or whatever, and I don't have the Venus, this comes up all the time. Eva, I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's either really good, it's sometimes either I want to open it, and sometimes it's completely dead. Like, the times I want to open it is when I have, like, orange light in hand to grab Diviner, or, like, if I already have, like, other combo pieces, like I have Diviner and stuff like that, whatever. Like, I can just discard the Evil with the Dark Lord link, get its effect early, and then I can just send an Archlord, Christia, with Asmodeus instead, because Asmodeus can send any fairy. So you're playing the Eva for the Foolish for Asmodeus, and you're playing an Agent Earth in case you don't have Venus, so you can still summon your Master Hyperion. So that is how that's working out. You got all these stupid 1-ups. Like, you don't... Sometimes opening Earth isn't the worst. Especially if you're getting hand trapped to death. It's like, whatever. Yeah, but opening the rest of this, honestly, I don't like, except maybe this is still fine. You can summon it from your hand with the Diviner. But opening this level 2 is the worst. I hate opening it. It sucks. But anyway, other 1-of, Codebreaker 0 Day. You gotta play for your Codebreaker stuff in Arsenal Christia because it's still one of your win cons and it is one of the best boss monsters still. Alright, that is it for monsters, guys. Spell cards. 3 unexpected dies because you want as many ways to stick a vanilla monster on the board without committing the normal summon. And 9 times out of 10, if it does stick, the game is practically over. Assuming that there's not a ton of back row or floodgates. 3 downbeats because you want to see it. 3 or triple tactics talents. Don't know how I feel about it. It doesn't. It's not a replacement for Called By. It's just not. I'd rather Joel and Lockbird not resolve. I'd rather my Diviner not get ashed. I'd rather it's my stuff just go through. And I'd rather just be able to search than resolve this card. But people are on so many hand traps to where I feel like I have to play it because if they drop a hand trap and I still have some sort of combo, I'll still look at the hand. Because it's like, you got to get Nib out of the hand. Like, Nib just cannot resolve. That is one thing that cannot happen. Nib is very problematic. That wouldn't be the case if we sell cards like Brilliant Fusion and stuff like that, but whatever. Emergency Teleport, you're still 1-of, another way to put a vanilla on the board. 1 called by. Please go back to 3. Foolish is actually still really, really good, especially with Diviner. With Foolish, you can now send things like Christia to the graveyard, so you don't have to rely on Chaos Valk. Or, you know, just these weird openings for it. Foolish will almost always send this, or send Christia, or it will send Venus, because you can revive it with, like, other stuff. Like what's it called, with Succession that you'll set later on in your combo. Or if you already have the Reborn, then that's fine too. Speaking of Reborn, the other Reborn 2.0 being Succession. Ooh, Gorlair. Sometimes I want to play 2 because, again, I keep getting forced into these stupid grind games. Once onto the trap cards, 1 Sorrow. Again, Lib has stayed on the board multiple turns. So, honestly, I want to play another World Legacy card. Like, I've opened Succession enough times to where it's like I use it as an extender, and I wish I had another Reborn that I could set. So I'll probably go for like World Legacy Secret or something for like Archlord. Gotta extend some more without a normal summon, and in pre-order, that is what, of course, you are going to end up setting in the combo. So you're going to set up your home board. That's it for the main deck, guys. Link monsters, Link wands, 3 dogs, 3 Imp-Ducks, 1 Link spider. Mandatory, gotta play them. The second one, it's almost non-negotiable simply because of how integral it is in certain situations where you don't have Venus nor Diviner. Like, well, sometimes you'll have Diviner, but you'll have like these weird scenarios where you got like unexpected die and stuff, and you don't want to bait things out with like Link Spider. And if they let that go and you make an Imp-Duck and you extra normal summon, and your opponent basically almost loses, because then you just link 5 from there and link into your opponent with the opponent's monster, and then they kind of just, yeah, they kind of just lose from there. Link Karibo, I absolutely hate to play, but I feel like I have to. The only reason you are playing Link Karibo is to trigger the Parshath Link 3, and the only reason that is even a thing is because if you have Diviner combo and you have 0 access to a vanilla, which does happen, you will need this card to still trigger Parshath. Meaning Diviner, again, Trias, and the 2 Valkyries, sometimes like Chaos Valk, other stuff like Lee, random things, they are not normal, so you can't just, there's no Link 1 to interact with those cards to just throw in the graveyard. So Link Karibo has to do, and it really sucks because there's one card that I will explain to you guys that really needs to have space to fit in, because it without it you're in even more awkward spots sometimes. But I'll explain that later. Anyway, Link 2, Ib, gotta play it. Liv, gotta play it. IP, I feel like you have to play it because of the fact that you could just be getting hand trapped too much. You may not even have combo, but oftentimes you can in on IP and 2 other monsters, which means you can link off one of your opponent's monsters into the Link 5 and turn off the rest of their board. You know, it's some sort of fallback plan. So I feel like if you take out IP, you're in a lot more awkward spots. You don't really have too much else you can fall back on if you do take out IP. Packages, we got Condemned Dark Lord and the Link 3. Again, for some reason, you can tribute summon a fairy that requires 2 tributes by banishing fairies from, not fairies, just banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard. Keep in mind, it says, you know, tribute summon a fairy that requires 2 tributes, not just a Dark Lord, so you can just banish 2 monsters from your grave to summon Archlord Christia from your hand. That is something definitely worth noting. The Code Breakers, gotta play them. It puts bodies on the board. It allows you to make Lib and Nightmare Griffin. New edition, Trigate Wizard. It's really good if you're going if you're comboing off uninterrupted, this is hitting the board. Like, before it was like, you make Liv, Griffin, and like IP, but now it's like, you could just make Trigate instead, and have Liv, Griffin, Trigate, Apo, and you can have, what's it called? And you'll have a Imperial Order set. That's like bare bones, like combo, and that's if, that's because you would probably end up using Succession to summon Trigate out of the graveyard, because you linked into it earlier, to link off the Ib to summon the leaf from your hand. Next we got Apo, gotta play it. Griffin, gotta play it to set the Imperial Order, or other stuff. And the Link 5 for your IP. Honestly, this allows you to go second way more than what it should. People just let vanillas go. Vanillas are just not a threat. And so when people let Link Spiders go, they let Unexpected Dies go, and it's just like, oh, well, it's just a vanilla, it's no threat. And then out of nowhere, it's like, then you commit one normal summon, and then boom, this comes out. And your opponent basically just loses. And because you're going to link off the monster that actually can target, that could potentially target the Link 5. So, alright guys, here is the card I'm talking about. This card, Artifact Dagda. This card, there needs to be, I need to make space for this card, 100%. Like, there's two candidates that I'm really on the fence about, maybe cutting, and that is IP or Link Rebo. I really hate these cards. Well, no, I like this card. I like IP. I hate Link Rebo. But it feels so necessary when you don't have a vanilla. You know, so I'm just like, what do I do when I don't have a vanilla? Okay, anyway, the reason why I feel that this card needs to be played, and I don't have space for it, but I feel like it needs to be played because there's too many situations where you have this setup, where you have this, like just these, alright, and then you'll have like the Viner setups and all that stuff, and it's nice, but what you gonna make an IP and try and play down here with the Dark Lord Link and stuff? See, it becomes awkward and it becomes harder to climb into the Parshath Link. However, with this, it's a fairy monster. This basically takes your non-fairies and turn it into an extra fairy for you to make Dark Lord Link with, and then Parshath with. It makes your combo a little bit easier. And again, because you will end up in situations where you have these on the field like all the time, World Legacy, World Chalice on the field all the time. You can't link those into Dark Lord because they're not fairies. Like literally, you can have this World Chalice on the field, link them both, make Dagda, summon 2 Lees from your hand, right? Grab World Chalice Guard Dragon to your hand, use 1 Lee, 1 Dagda, make Dark Lord Link, discard the Guard Dragon, and then link the Lee and the Dark Lord Link into a Parshath, banish Guard Dragon from the grave, special, link, summon Imduck, and boom, there you go, there's combo. Like, there's many situations where that can happen, but I don't even have space for this. I feel that very strongly that if I choose to cut Link Rebo, I will regret it the moment I start having all these Diviner stuff, but no access to vanillas. And with this, if I'm getting hand trapped all the time or whatever, and I have no fallback plan. So I don't know. Maybe I could take out Trigate, but Trigate has been really good. Trigate, every time I've had combo, this has been involved. Trigate has been involved, and it's been nice. So, and it's like it adds that extra layer of negation. It makes it to where you can go for order without setting. It makes it to where you can go for order and still have a negate to actually negate the droplet. And this is if you already I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. This is like the fill in the gap card for these weird situations based on what you have to where you can combo, because you may not always get access to Imperial Order. You may not always get access to the Valkyrie stuff because because of stuff and things. Like, it's weird. Sometimes you will open the level 2 Valkyrie, and it makes it to where you cannot send the Imperial Order anymore, or you just don't get into Diviner, and just things happen to where it's like you can't always get into order, but you can go for succession or something, and summon this for a negate, and you can still I don't know, it's weird. Like, this makes it to where you have something else if you don't have access to Christia as well. If you don't have a way to send Christia to grave, and you have succession, you can set order. Like, setting order with Griffin is, like, cool with IP and stuff, but it's not that good. It's when it comes to, like, droplet and stuff, because if you order the first card and they droplet and they send the spell card and they turn off your board, you kind of just lose. But with Trigate, you can stop the first spell with Trigate and still pressure your opponent somewhat. Again, like, Trigate could be IP, I don't know. Trigate also just gets rid of stuff. Like, I've linked into the Link 5. You know, I've made the Codebreaker stuff below the Link 5, made Trigate, extended a little bit with, like, World Chalice. Had it double culling, got rid of stuff. You know, just the negate is nice. I don't know. Maybe Trigate's not needed, but I found that just being able to have Lib, Trigate, Griffin is just, I don't know, it's just better to me in my opinion than Lib, Griffin, and IP. Especially since you don't want to really link the IP off, or you don't want to really link Lib off like that, because you got another card that you could be setting and stuff like that. You're linking off almost all your stuff, except like Apple. Maybe even Apple, if you used all the negates, you're linking off a lot of your stuff to make the Link 5. Just saying. Like with the Trigate, you can kind of save your board. And Trigate is like an always pressurable card. It's weird that way. And in the middle of your combo, if you, let's say you Dark Ruled your opponent, and you could put this under the Parsec Link 3 and make like other stuff, and this is like, now it's getting rid of stuff. So, I don't know. But again, there needs to be space for Artifact Dagda. At some point, I gotta make space for it, because there's too many situations where I got all these non-fairies that I could be turning into fairies, and therefore turning that into combo. And of course, we got our 2 World Legacy tokens for our Asmodeus. Anyway, guys, I've said 2 things so far. This deck struggles with 2 things, right? First off, this deck is 50 cards. I made it 50. It was at 46. Like, I had no problem getting combo off all this stuff. In fact, I probably had a better time getting combo off without the extra 4 cards added. But I figured I needed to add triple T's in as more insurance to get rid of like Nib and stuff. And then I figured I didn't want to play at a weird number at 49, so I added Shade Brigandine. You know, yet another non-fairy that you could turn into a fairy monster. So you can choose to take out those 4 cards and just have a really, really consistent deck. I don't know how much more effective it would be versus Interruption. I mean, I was able to play through Interruption like pretty good by itself. Maybe I'll cut him. I don't know. So, like I said, 2 things this deck really has a problem with is Nib and Floodgates. So, this takes care of Floodgates. I need to just monster boards. Some boards are just like too much to deal with. This turns off Winda, of course. Turns off like stupid stuff like Battle Butler and stuff. Like, people will summon Butler and not do anything with it until something threatening comes out. Same with these. These turn off like Winda, and it doesn't really. Butler can still interact with it. Again, I don't have Forbidden Droplet, so I will eventually get those. Mind Control is really good. It's insane against Striker because it doesn't trigger Ray. Yeah, you take Winda and link it off. Whatever, you take Makabas. Yeah, there's a lot you could do there. You mess with sure eggs, yeah. And back row floodgates, people are on, there can only be ones, they're on Mystic Mines. Like, people are just playing back row again, it's insane. So, I'm on 3 Twisters, 1 Reboot beats floodgates. Feather Duster beats non-chainable floodgates, I'm not including Schism. And Pank beats other floodgates. I wouldn't recommend things like Lightning Storm because, again, chainable cards are kind of problematic. Like, Prank Kids are still doing stuff, so if you want to standby phase, hit something, then these are options. Except this. This is this can hit Butler, so it's okay. But yeah, you want fast ways to get rid of back row, 100%. You gotta play fast ways to get rid of back row. Strikers, just all that stuff. So floodgates, back row is included in those floodgates. And the last 3 for Nib, dragged out of the grave. As much as I hate my opponent getting into their deck, you can't afford to play exchange because there's so many integral combo pieces that need to be in your hand that you can still play with. Like, let's say the Valkyrie, the Dark Lord Asmodeus, the Evas, like stuff like that. You don't want your opponent to take them because at that point there's no way to get them out of their hand. Therefore, now you're missing combo pieces. So that is unfortunately why we gotta play drag down over exchange. And let me tell you, that has screwed me out of a game, definitely. Because my opponent drew into an Ash with the drag down because I thought he had Nib. But this is a good way to get Nib out of the hand. If you want to summon your Diviner or your Venus first, get that out of your hand, then activate drag down. That's when you do it. You're not safe from like Imperm or Valor though, unfortunately. But you know what? It is what it is. But yeah, guys. Nib and Floodgates are the only things this deck really struggles with. Anything else, you can really just kind of power through it. And if you can't really power through it, you do actually have a decent grind game. I wish I had a better grind game, but we can't have our cake and eat it too. So, this is the deck profile, guys. I did go through a lot, but I felt like it was important to mention these things, especially with the Artifact Dagda. Like, I gotta find space for that. But anyway, guys, that is it for right. As you can see, that was a lot to unpack. A lot. That's a lot of information, but it is all very important. And this is, this can get our minds thinking a little bit when it comes to the deck and how you want to play or pilot said deck and what changes we could potentially make in the future. So, do please leave your thoughts about the deck in the comments down below. Feedback is definitely appreciated, not just for me, but for other fellow World Chalice players. And as always, Rogue will never go meta, meta will always be Rogue. So, that being said, guys, I'll talk to you all. But my heart can't easily let you go. I try to tell myself this isn't love. But I hate that I never really know if I should stay or be alone. If I should stay